Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Martha Ayala, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As a reminder, I do every video in English and Spanish, and the degree theory is based on modern Western astrology using the Placidus house system. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about something now. If you are sensitive about potentially a negative outcome, then this is not the video to watch. So consider this a warning. All right. I decided to make this video because we have a very intense aspect coming up for the third time in 6 months. I don't want to alarm anyone, but things might get difficult, especially for Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So if you have planets around 3 to 4 degrees in any of those signs, plus or minus 3 degrees for the orb, so let's say from like 7 to 0 degrees, any planets in Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, or your ascendant sun sign, moon sign, or the angles of the chart. That means the first house, the fourth house, the seventh house, and the 10th house. Then this Mars opposition to Pluto will affect you. Now, the first two oppositions happened the first week of November. Right? The exact opposition was on November 3rd in the Capricorn Cancer axis at 29 degrees. The second opposition happened the first week of January, exactly on January 2nd, in Leo Aquarius. 1 to 2 degrees was the opposition. And this third time, it will happen on April 27th in Leo Aquarius, 3 to 4 degrees. Now, these aspects last about 10 to 12 days, right? So we're talking, let's say, I'm going to put this as a Aries rising because that's the natural ruler, a natural chart, I mean. So, oof, there we go. So Pluto is going to oppose Mars in Leo. Pluto is in Aquarius and Mars is in Leo. Now, in addition to what I'm about to say for these two, there is a sign-based square with Uranus. Sign-based, because Uranus is hovering very close to Algol, and which is the second part of this video. So sign-based, not degree-based, because this is happening between 3 to 4 degrees, and this is at 26 degrees. So it's not a degree-based square, but it is a sign-based square. Now, in case you didn't know, Pluto is a higher octave of Mars. So Mars in opposition to Pluto is very challenging. It can be dangerous, explosive. You can show a lot of willpower, an obsession to get things done. Mars is all about action, about being assertive. It can be violent, aggressive. It can be brave, courageous, to be first, to be the leader. Pluto is, sometimes it's being a bully, right? It's intense. There could be fear, transformation. It rules the underworld. It goes to extremes because it's all about obsession, possession. It deals with detox, with purification, with death and rebirth. Therefore, on a mundane level, we may see an escalation, God forbid, of violence and war. And Leo is in the sign of presidents because Leo is to be a president. And Aquarius is the sign of the people, the general population. So in the United States, the first week of November was where we held the US elections. The inauguration was the third week of January, so it was under the Mars-Pluto opposition, not exact, but the Mars and Pluto were in opposition. So there may be something related to the subject of the elections or the presidency for the US during and this will be the last opposition of Mars to Pluto. Now, that's on the mundane level, right? On a personal note, the four signs that are going to get hit the hardest will be Taurus and Scorpio because, well, because those represent squares, right? You have the opposition happening here. So Taurus and Scorpio are going to be squared by this opposition. And this deals for Taurus and Scorpio. It deals with the fourth and the 10th house axis. So there can be a power struggle at work with your boss or with a parent. Remember the fourth and 10th is the parental axis. So make sure not to challenge your supervisor, your parent, authority figure. That's Pluto, like during this time. Just go with the flow. Don't look for any fights or arguments. If things get out of hand, hopefully they won't, but just walk away because things can escalate very quickly. The fourth house also deals with your property. So make sure that there are no gas leaks, no propane leaks, that if there's anything wrong with the electricity, especially in the kitchen, have it checked out, have it fixed. Don't take any chances. In the kitchen, make sure that all the burners are off. Especially like after you're frying food or something like that, that if you leave the hot oil on the stove, it could catch fire. Mars is fire. So there could be, like a total destruction of your kitchen. Again, God forbid. But um, for Leo and Aquarius, let's do this. Leo and Aquarius. This is the first and seventh house axis. So power struggles with your long-term partner, your spouse. It could also be legal battles because the seventh house is legal battles. So keep calm and carry on, as they say. If you're going through a divorce case, don't say anything that you might regret later. Keep it cool, or maybe ask for a continuation if things start to get out of hand. Um, Obviously, there can be an ending of a marriage with a fight. Now, obviously, this is going to escalate if the relationship was already on rocky roads, right? If it was poor to begin with, you guys were having challenges, etc. Um, in a good relationship, still, you need to be careful what you say. And this also goes for business partners as well, right? Because seventh house is long-term partners in love, business, long-time friends that we have for since childhood, 20 something years, people that have been around with you for a long, long time. So really quickly, because I'm not going to do sign by sign, but I'll give you guys a general idea of what it is where's Aries? For Aries and Libra, this is going to be the fifth house, 11th house axis, which deals with romance with kids, recreational sports. The 11th house is friends and associations, so be careful with major arguments and fights um, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, with your kids. In sports, be careful you don't have an accident that requires surgery because Pluto rules surgery and Mars rules accidents. Now, for Gemini and Sagittarius. So let's do Gemini and Sagittarius. This opposition is going to happen in your third and ninth house, which, it's not bad. It's like one of the best places to have this opposition. So, third house is siblings, extended family, your neighbors. And when I mean extended family, I mean aunts, uncles, cousins. Um, and of course, the ninth house is your classmates, your professor at the university. So do not pick a fight. with your siblings, a neighbor, or any extended family member, classmates, and especially a professor. You don't want to, get them upset at you because you might not pass the class. Um, and if you are going on a long distance trip, do not get into an argument with authorities in the foreign country. Make sure that all the paperwork is correct, that you have all the documentation. And if they say that you got to get up, you got to get in the plane and head back home, then do so. Do not argue with them. You could politely ask them, well, is there something I can get solved here at the airport or whatever, but do not argue with any authority figure. Now, for Cancer and Capricorn, this happens, this opposition happens in your second and eighth house. So that axis is all about money. So arguments, fights about my money, our money, your money, can happen with your significant others. So, is this the hill that you want to die on? I would say not, right? So be mindful, do not engage in any arguments about money. Virgo and Pisces. Virgo and Pisces, and this opposition happens in the 6th and 12th house axis. So this deals with health. Both of these houses deal with health. So the 6th house, when we have Pluto in opposition to Mars, again, this may involve surgery. I would not recommend it under this aspect unless it's a medical emergency, but you have to follow your doctor's orders. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or any way involved with the medical profession, right? So you follow your doctor's orders, but it's not the best aspect to be having surgery. Just want to put it out there. Now, for all intents and purposes, if the Mars and Pluto opposition wasn't enough, like I say, we have a sign-based square. Let me see, sign-based square with Taurus, right? Because Aquarius is the other fixed sign. The square is Taurus. Leo is a fixed sign. The square is Taurus. And of course, Aquarius and Leo square Scorpio as well. And Taurus is the opposite of Scorpio. So, like I said, if this wasn't enough, we will have the third and final conjunction of Uranus with Algol, the demon star. I think this energy has contributed a lot to the ongoing airplane accidents. I know they've calmed down a little bit because we're past the 23rd degree, but they still continue to happen, as well as earthquakes. I think, we've at least I've seen a few on the news, right, that have happened in the last couple of months. Now, Algol is a demon star, but it also has its positive sides. It can bring great wealth depending, of course, on the planets that you have in your chart that are conjunct Algol. And the houses where you have 26 degrees of Taurus. Now, for ancient astrology, because it deals with the fixed stars, it has to be exact, no orbs of influence. I did a video this past December on remedies for the second house that I gave you like a holiday gift, which I gave dates that you could actually, depending on where you have 26 degrees of Taurus, it was a little bonus part of the video that I put in, because this is the good news, right? Uranus conjunct Algol can be catastrophic. But for the positive side of this, if you have Taurus 26 degrees in the 5th or 8th house, and you have Venus or Jupiter conjunct 26 degrees in either of those houses, play a lottery ticket during April 26th, which is the day before, we have this Mars-Pluto opposition, right? But Uranus will be hovering. It enters the 26 degrees on April 26th through May 12th. So again, especially if you have Venus or Jupiter making an aspect to Pluto in your natal chart, this is a wonderful time to try a lottery ticket. If you have Venus or Jupiter in Taurus at 26 degrees in the second house, then you may get a raise all of a sudden, a surprise. Remember, Uranus is unpredictable, so anything can happen, but it could be very positive news. Now, again, on a mundane level, as well, I don't like the fact that Mars is going to oppose Pluto at the same time that Uranus will conjunct Algol. I don't see it as a very good thing. So world leaders should be extra careful because Leo is to be a president, especially for President Trump and JD Vance. This opposition is not good for either one of them because they're both Leo risings, right? So this is where I'm getting the connection. Again, I don't mean to scare you guys. I just wanted to let you know to be extra careful. And I would, start because this transit lasts about 10 to 12 days. So remember that when you have a transit, when it's getting to that point, this is called an applying aspect. And then when it gets to the point, that's the conjunction. And then when it starts to leave that conjunction, it's a separating aspect, right? So I would say if the conjunction is going to happen, the direct opposition is going to happen on the 27th. I would say from maybe the 22nd until the first few days of May. Be extra careful and please follow my advice. Don't pick an argument with anybody. No fights, no discussions, just let it flow. Do not engage with anybody because things can escalate, and especially authority figures. All right, whatever you define authority as, your parents, your supervisors, the police, state officials, etc. All right, so again, I warned you at the beginning that this video might cause some people to get scared. That is not the intent. The intent is just to give you a heads up on what may be a potential problem. Hopefully not personal, but on a mundane level, we will see some things, get a little, hopefully not. God willing, it won't get violent, but that's what I'm expecting. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful or, you understand what I'm trying to say, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and send it to someone else that the information might be helpful. If you would like a natal chart reading with me, please send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.